Hi everyone, and welcome to the latest round of IronQuest feedback. Today I've got the pleasure to be joined with Lorna Brown. Hi Lorna.
Hi Sarah, thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure to have you here finally. It's only taken me, how long, 2 years?
Yeah, I can't believe you didn't ask until now.
How are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. And how are you?
I'm doing good, thanks. So just for those that don't know you, can you give us a little bit of an intro into who you are?
Of course. So my name's Lorna Brown. You may also know me as Lorna Eden. I got married this time last year, actually. I'm a Tableau Zen Master, a Tableau Public Ambassador, and I started my data journey with the Information Lab's Data School. And I'm now back with the Information Lab as a core team consultant. So that's a little bit about me.
Exciting. And you also help out with another project, don't you?
I do indeed. I also co-lead Workout Wednesday, and I also help run the Northwest Tableau user group in the UK.
Yeah, and let's not forget you are like one of the reigning tip champions, if not the reigning tip champion, in whatever thing we're talking about. Say London Tug, I don't know.
Yeah.
So you can frequently see Lorna sharing her amazing Tableau tips.
Yep, you can indeed look at my Tableau public profile, and the blogs and the videos are on there too.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, right. So this month's IronQuest was all about passion projects. So the idea was that you would go away and visualize something that you're particularly passionate about. And the reason that we set this topic is that we wanted to give people an opportunity to visualize something that they love. It's so much more fun and easier to visualize something that you enjoy. I know talking from my own personal experience, if I visualize a topic that I'm not particularly interested in, I just don't enjoy it. So we wanted to give people a fun start to the year by doing passion projects. The visualization you see on the screen now is by Agata, and I just picked this one as an example because I really love what she did with looking at her quantified self data from her family, looking at the movies they enjoy and how her family's ratings compare to the national ratings. Did you see this viz, Lorna?
Yeah, I really enjoyed it, and I was very surprised to see The Lion King was so low on the national ratings. I definitely put it up there.
Is that the new Lion King or the old Lion King? Do we not know?
That's a very good question. It doesn't. I don't think it says. No.
To be honest, I don't like the Lion King, either Lion Kings, and I know that's controversial.
But, very controversial.
Yeah, I have. Yeah, strange tastes. And also, I saw people were complaining about Toy Story, and there was a lot of mixed opinions about which Toy Story was better on Twitter, which is quite interesting.
Yeah,
I personally love the first one. I don't like the other ones.
Yeah, I don't think you can get better than the first of any film, apart from Harry Potter, when 1 and 2 is a little bit sketchy. 3 and above is better.
Okay, good to know, because I've actually only ever watched 1. So yeah, I've not got that far. Anyway, let's just get stuck in. We've got loads of vizzes to go through today, so I'm just going to switch my screen over, and we're going to kick off with a viz by Ashik. Just so you know, we're going to go through these vizzes in alphabetical order, and what's different about this round to previous rounds is some people have requested IronViz style feedback, which was a new option that I provided in 2021. So you may see us switching between the two, and that's purely because of the way that feedback's been requested. So in Ashik's case, he said he wanted IronViz style feedback, so we provided for this one, but not all of them. Okay, so Ashik's viz is looking at a famous song, I believe. And then, yeah, so it was a song, and then it got on YouTube and did really well, if I've understood correctly. Have you seen this one, Lorna?
Yeah. I really like how they've brought the colours together to do the north-south divide, and how they've just kept with the colour theme going along with it. Yeah. That's obviously the design side of things, but in general, the story seems really good in terms of trying to bring together why this was a phenomenon for the different areas of India.
Yeah, no, it's really interesting, and I like, as you say, the colours are really consistent. I like how he's kept the background white. It kind of makes everything pop. And the map is really nice with the annotations as well. In terms of like IronVis feedback, so for those of you who don't know, IronVis is scored on 3 areas, so design, storytelling and analysis. And often with IronVis, and this is I think purely a Tableau like IronVis thing, people end up doing the really long form vises in the, I think in the hope to kind of fit in as much as possible and show examples of all of these things. Now, this viz is long form, and it does include quite a lot, but I would say, and I don't know if you agree, Lorna, that if this was to be an IronVis entry, I'd expect a little bit more analysis.
Yep.
Purely, so we've got obviously the search interest in the song. I'm just thinking, like looking at these two charts, they're almost identical, right? And the axes is the same. Would you consider combining them?
I was thinking the exact same. Like, I'd love to be able to compare directly between the different months and whether it's India and worldwide, whether they're the same number of searches.
Yeah, because it looks like the search interest worldwide picked up towards the end of December, but we didn't really see that as much in India. So maybe kind of the excitement had died down at that stage, but then in the rest of the world, we're just still getting kind of wind of this phenomenon.
Yeah, I also wonder if it's the interest worldwide includes the interest in India, or whether it excludes that. But it does say, the little quote underneath it says, a value of 100 is peak popularity, so it's relative to its highest point. So I think that's why the axes are so similar.
And that makes sense. Okay. Yeah, so I would like to see a little bit more analysis, and maybe and maybe a little bit more of background on the artist, or maybe make some of the text more visual, because at the moment we have got these quite a lot of blocks of text, which could be maybe brought to life with some more stats or insights, maybe even some bands, just big ass numbers to kind of call out some key stats based around the search trends. I don't know if you agree. Yeah. But I do really like it, and I do like how the design is consistent and it's kind of symmetrical, which may be why we have the 2 separate charts as well, because it does look nice on the page.
Yeah, that pleases me. It might help my OCD a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's really great, but well done. Okay, so the next one is by Agata. So it's actually the one that I showed at the beginning. Oh, I've gone straight to her profile. So just go to the viz. So this one is looking at, as I said, family movie night. So she's compared her family's ratings of movies compared to the national ratings from, I believe, IMDb, Rotten Tomatoes, and Metacritic. I just love how like how personal this is to her, and how she's really made it her own. I'm just looking at, I didn't see it before, but it's got a Vision tooltip, which is great. Just looking at that now. Feel free to chime in, Lorna, if you've got anything to say.
So I think the Vision tooltip is really nice. I think I'd like to see that outside of the Vision tooltip, so that it's always in view, rather than having to hover over. Obviously, you'd have to hover over to change to the different films, but I think it'd be nice to do an overall one that changes when you hover. Yeah,
I guess it's a bit of a shame that the family ratings are kind of hidden behind that Vision tooltip. Like, I guess I'm not so worried about the national ratings, but it would be nice to see how her family members compared. So maybe there was one family member that hated a film, whereas everyone else loved it. And I think you kind of lose that detail by showing it in the dumbbell chart alone.
Yeah, for sure. But I do like how she's got the hamburger menu, so that you can change what it is that you're sorting by, and also which family member you actually want to see the specific values for. So being able to see that, and the animations are nice.
It's very nice, yeah. So I'm just playing with this now. I do. I think I've seen pretty much every single one of these films, which is quite telling about the kind of films that I watch.
But yeah, I really like this visualization. I think it's nice and clean and smooth. Like we've just said about the tooltips, I think that sort of maybe the analysis side of things is hidden and not there straight away.
Yeah, I agree. There's a couple of things that I like about the design, that both the very subtle gradient background is nice, the way that she kept the text all like structured kind of together, and also the shading of the like to show the different ratings and who which color relates to who in the text. I'm quite a big fan of doing that rather than having a separate color legend. Yeah, I agree, the hamburger menu is nice. I might want to make it a little bit more prominent because I missed that on when I first looked at this. So maybe just a little, well, first of all, I'd add, you know, where it says show horizontal, I'd probably give that a name. So like click here to show, well, to change the sort, but maybe even just a little label to show that what that menu does might be nice.
Yep.
Yeah, anyway, but yeah, I love it. I love the design. I love the title as well. I think that's really cool.
Yeah, I wonder if she must have done that with an image though, right? Tableau public fonts.
Yes, I'm sure she probably designed the background in Figma or something similar.
Yeah,
no doubt, but there's nothing wrong with that. Okay, the next one we have is by Amy, and Amy's asked for some general feedback. So Amy is looking at the happiest countries on earth, and this is built, I think, using, I don't know, it's the Mapbox. I don't want to say extension, but it's do you know what it's called, Lorna?
It could be the web page version of it as well. I'm not 100% sure without, let's have a quick dig in. Oh, I can't.
I'll start going through the bits. So this is what I would call like scrolly telling. So as you scroll down, it's very much like a web page. The map changes and zooms in on different countries. So we start off with Finland, who have the highest average score for happiness. And then for each country, Amy's included a picture of the country and then some text around just around where that data is coming from and their scores. Which is the whole interface and experience of this viz is really lovely. But I guess my only criticism is it doesn't really include much data. All the data is just included in the text. There's nothing visual, like chart-wise, to show this. So maybe we could have a chart for each country, or maybe a separate piece with some more analysis. I think that's one area that this viz is lacking.
Yeah, I think being able to see, I know you're ranking them as you're scrolling through, but being able to visually see the difference in the scores,
yeah,
in just a simple bar chart highlighting which country it is that you're looking at would benefit here, I think.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting that every country is shaded the same green as well. So we're not, you might forget what country was scored number one, for instance, when you get here, but you could look at Finland was first, but it's quite difficult to remember that just by looking at the visual and comparing them that way. I think all we're seeing is like where the countries are in the world rather than actually like the data that sits behind it.
Yeah, it would have been nice to colour the countries, or at least have something on the countries to remember the information that once we're scrolling.
Yeah, but in terms of the whole the way it works, it's really smooth. Yeah, just a little bit more visual would be nice. Okay, so the next one is by Andrew, and this is called The Man for Big Occasions, and it's looking at Gareth Bale at Real Madrid. Are you a football fan, Lorna?
I am not a football fan. I am a rugby league fan, as many of you may know, but I do like sports in general. So
yeah, so I'm an Arsenal fan by default because that's who my husband supports. He's not a fan of Gareth Bale, but I do know who Gareth Bale is actually because of that. But I like this viz. in the sense that how it focuses on Gareth Bale. It reminds me a little bit of a viz that Pablo Gomez did a few years back on one of the Argentinian footballers. I can't remember who. It wasn't Messi, but yeah, it reminds me of that. So it's all about him and his career, and I like how he's placed the visual of Gareth there in the centre. Kind of that really brings it to life. I'm just looking through now. Just feel free to chime in.
I think one of the things that would have stood out as well is I like how they've added the trophies in seemingly random places. They may not be, but it would have been nice to make that into a kind of like unit chart, so that you can visually see a little bit more of how many trophies has been won by each of those specific titles quite easily. Yeah,
because if I want to compare his Champions League trophies to, let's say, La Liga, you've got to look in two places, right?
Yeah, and it's also La Liga. You miss looks like you miss a couple of seasons, whereas for the Champions League one, you've got at least 16, 17, and 18 together. So would have kind of been nice to show it on a timeline, I guess.
Yeah. So you mean show the ones that are missing, so like grayed out. So if he didn't win that year, then it would be like an empty trophy.
Yeah, I'd probably say that would be quite beneficial of the analysis side of things.
Yeah, because I guess what you lose here is that I don't know how long he's been playing at that level to have been in the running for those trophies, right? So if he was injured or he wasn't even playing at that level at that year, then he wouldn't have even been able to get that trophy, right? So that it might be quite interesting to see. I'm not sure about the positioning of this stat here. So the 13 trophies and 105 goals. I'd be more inclined to put that near the top. So the placement of some of the things doesn't seem like it flows in a particularly logical order, if you get what I mean. So it's because we start off by looking at these trophies and then we go into more detail here, then we go back to trophies. So I'd like the viz kind of flow better, so maybe show the high level detail. So he has 13 trophies, he's scored 105 goals, and then drill down into more detail in the viz itself, rather than start off with just the Champions League trophies, which I'm sure are viewed as the best, which is probably why they're up there, but I'd like kind of more structure in that sense.
Yeah, I agree.
If this was to be entered for Iron Viz, I'd say it probably needs a little bit more analysis. So we have obviously the bar charts, but really that's the only kind of chart we have in this visualization. So I would like to see a little bit more analysis, maybe into, I don't know, more, can't think of anything off the top of my head, but more like football stats around Gareth Bale, maybe comparing his like style of play to different footballers or something like that, just to make it stronger in the analysis section.
Yeah, I completely agree there. There's lots of football stats that you could probably add to this, especially around like minutes played or like touches, and there's loads of individual stats for each individual game. So it would have been nice to see, okay, well, these are the reasons why he's potentially won 13 trophies. Yes, they're potentially more on the team level, but this is why, and this is how many assists he's had, which has helped him with goals and things like that. So I just think more analysis as to the why is missing here.
There'll be a ton of data under this 105 goals. So we could look at the timing of goals, who were they against, were they home and away, all that kind of stuff. But I think we lose that in this visualization because we just know that he scored 105, which is great, but we've got no kind of sense of when they were and etc. So what championships they were in. Yeah. Otherwise, I really like this viz, and it's a nice take and celebration of a footballer. So
one thing I'd say as well is just make sure that there is an image credit. I think in the sources there's Wikipedia and UEFA and Transfer Market. Maybe that is where what the images come, but it might be worth specifically calling out the images from this place. We don't want copyright issues on our hands.
Yeah, absolutely. Same for the logo as well. Okay, the next one is by Artie, and this is called My Passion. So this is looking at the activities that Artie likes to do. And she's got a word cloud here showing of all of her favourite activities. And I must say, there's a lot there. I'm envious. Like, I don't have that many hobbies. And then we have a scale here. So she scored each of them out of 10. So based on how much she enjoys them. So number 1 is listening to music, then baking, skating, singing, etc. And then I guess the colours and the size in the word cloud will rate back to the overall rating. So we can see listening to music is like the biggest and slightly different colour. I would say, just on first glance, the first thing I would change to change anything about this viz is to change the orientation of the bar chart. So just so that it's horizontal, so we can read the text better without kind of twisting to the side to read the text. Would you agree, Lorna?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, maybe put the two side by side. But I guess the problem is that the bar chart and the word cloud are essentially showing the same thing, but in a slightly different way.
Yeah, I'd probably put in a parameter switch in here, so that you can see either the word cloud with the hearts around it or the bar chart itself, because like you said, they are showing the same information, and I think it would just draw people to play and interact with it a little bit more if you had that parameter option to switch between the two.
Yeah, I'm curious what's going on in the word cloud, because some of the things appear twice. We've got listening to music, singing. I don't know if that was done just to fill the space better, or I'm not sure, but I would imagine they should each only appear once, which probably explains why there's so many, because that's why it's like, wow, so many hobbies. If this was entered for IronViz, I'd say we would need quite a bit more analysis, because at the moment we have the bars, we have the word cloud, but I'd like to see more data behind these activities. So maybe when they were practiced, how often, maybe how long you've been doing them for, just any data that sits behind them. So rather than just scoring them out in terms of how much you like doing each of them, a little bit more information and data behind each one would be nice.
Yeah, I completely agree with that one. Like, this is kind of one of them projects where you're collecting the data yourself, so you can collect everything and anything that you want to do with your analysis. So things that I'd probably do is try and track the time of day that I'm doing these particular activities, but then also do that with my rating at the time. So does the time of day affect my rating of this particular activity? If I'm cooking at 9 p.m. in the evening, I'm certainly not going to be enjoying it compared to cooking at 7 p.m.
Yeah.
That sort of thing.
Agreed. And maybe even it would be interesting to show this from a pandemic perspective. So how's your participation in these activities changed since maybe being subject to lockdown restrictions? So I'm imagining, Artie, you can't do much skating now, depending on where you are in the world, but I imagine that might be something that you can't do, whereas maybe you're doing a lot more baking because you're at home. So it'd be interesting to see how patterns like that have changed as well. I would say that if you're going to take that approach, you probably won't be able to do all of them, because that's a lot of data to collect. But I don't know, maybe you do. But yeah, I think that would be super interesting, and probably the next step on from this, perhaps. Have you got anything else to add before I go on?
I like the things that I do like about it is the consistency of the colours. Passion is a red colour in general, so I quite like the way that it's been framed with the red theme running through it.
And the hearts, yeah, it all kind of ties back to love and things like that. Yeah, and Artie, I do really appreciate the fact that you did your passions for the passion project precisely, which is really lovely to see. Okay, right, the next one is by Brittany, and this one is for IronViz feedback, and it's on 10 years of 99% invisible. I know you've dug into this one quite a bit, Lorna, so do you want to start?
Yeah, I really like the look and feel of this one. It makes me really want to engage and take note of what is actually going on. Maybe the text itself could be it's a little bit text heavy, but you probably need that information to get more as to what it is that the subject is.
Mm-hmm. So 99% Invisible is a podcast. Am I
Okay.
correct? I think. So we're looking here at the subjects covered on the podcast. Have I understood correctly? Hope so.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Yeah, content is categorized into 8 themes. Okay. I really like the waffle charts. I think that's a good use of waffles. I would, like you say, it does feel a little text heavy. I think maybe because the labels in the waffles are so big. So I perhaps just shrink them down a tiny bit, but I love the overall design. It reminds me a lot of, I think it's BBC Sport, like website. Just the title, it just reminds me of that, which is not a bad thing. It's a really nice design. And I love this at the bottom. So we get a sense of kind of how the, I've lost the highlight now, go away. How the number of categories are changing over time and the overall trends. I think it's a really nice way of showing it at the bottom there to kind of like round everything off.
Yeah. I think one thing that I'd add to this, though, is that with the waffles itself, when you hover over a particular mark, it'd be nice to be able to see where that's sat in the timeline as well, so that you could highlight in both directions from the waffle to the unit chart at the bottom.
Yeah, maybe even if the data is available, just to have a tooltip to show what that particular episode was as well.
Yeah.
Maybe even a link to it, so you could go and listen. But yeah, I agree. It would be nice if these two were linked, so you could see each specific one. I guess the only thing that we lose when putting it in this format, and I do love that chart at the bottom, is the trends per category. So like, it's quite difficult to tell if, let's say, architecture is increasing over time because of the way that the marks are stacked.
Yep.
But yeah, if you were to enter this for INVIS, I'd be inclined to add a little bit more analysis. Would you agree, Lorna?
Yep.
Yeah. So maybe like another section. I mean, I don't know what the data's like, but another section with some more analysis in would be helpful, I think, because I think at the moment it's great, but it probably needs a little bit more to get it up to an INVIS level.
Yeah, maybe like I said, if the data is available, it'd be good to see like the popularity of each episode as well, to see if that's increasing or decreasing over time and things like that.
Yeah, that would be interesting. Okay. No, I do really love this toolbar as well, where you can go through and click on the different social media platforms on the website. I think it's a really nice way of doing it. Okay, so the next one is by Ellie, and this one is on Carcassonne. So I have a story behind this viz. So I'm sure you saw me on Twitter, but I saw this viz and I was like really intrigued to know. I literally saw it and I didn't have a clue what Carcassonne was or anything. So I did some Googling and found out it's a board game, and it looked really good. So I bought it, and I've since played it a couple of times with my daughter, and it's actually really fun. Do you know what it is, Lorna? Have you ever played?
I think I've played it once or twice in the past. It's where you like build a map, right? With
yeah, you build a map.
tiles.
Yeah, and then you put these little, forget what they're called, but those characters you see on the vids, you put them on the map and kind of claim roads and things like that. But yeah, I've been beaten both times, by the way, by a 10-year-old. So it's not easy. Like my daughter just has the, she just basically tries to claim everything. So that road is mine. I'll take that. Thank you. And then as a result, she gets loads of points. So yeah, so this is really interesting because I think Ellie's been playing this game a lot with her boyfriend since lockdown in 2020. And I'm not sure who is who, but I think she said somewhere that he'd been beating her quite a bit. So she was determined to kind of get her score up. But it's really interesting to see like how they scored over time. and the trend lines I thought here were really nice.
Yeah, I really like all of it. I'd maybe even put the two scatter plots on top of each other, so you can kind of see both of the trends at the same time and compare directly as well, rather than having the side by side.
Yeah, yeah. Again, it's that case of where your eyes are flipping between the two and trying to draw comparisons, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'd be inclined to move these bands up to the top so we see them straight away, rather than like having it as one of the last things that you see when you look at the viz. But I do appreciate the fact that she's incorporated so many of the game themes that the I think they're called, are they called me? I want to say they're not minions, but it begins with an M. Anyway, it's annoying me now. But these little people, and also the game card background is like what you see in the background. So it's they have this grey background with the C on it. So yeah.
They're called meeple. It says
Maple.
in
Okay,
the text.
that's, I told you it began with M. It's just got minion
Yeah.
in my head, and it's definitely not minion.
Um,
I
I
was
was
just
gonna
going to.
say, oh,
You
go
go.
on.
You go.
I think it'd be good to see. I know you've got it in the like the barbell chart, but to actually physically see the number of the differences between winner and loser as well. I know that's in the tooltip, but it's not directly obvious that the person has won by X score.
Okay, so you mean the length? You want to see the value of this bar, that the difference between the two
Yeah.
somewhere. Okay. Yeah, I missed this before, but she's included a lot of detail in the tooltip, which is nice. So you could see, what went on, who got, how did the person win, how did they get on, and I'm sure this means nothing to someone who hasn't played the game, but it all makes sense to me now. And I do like the fact that she's sorted this chart from showing the most recent games first.
Maybe that's where I'd probably want the interactivity to sort by the biggest difference, either
So,
player 1 difference or player 2 difference. So then you can kind of see, it'll potentially do that timeline as well.
yeah, so you'd have it nicely aligned, so you could flip between when they were played and also like the best scores.
Yeah.
Yeah, or best. Yeah, I get what you mean. Yeah, because I guess this one would stand out then by a mile, right? Because I don't quite know what happened.
Winning by 178.
Player 2 did well. Yeah, I can see that.
So one of the things in the tooltip as well is the location. That seems to be quite hidden throughout the viz itself. So some of the games are played at home, but then there's some that are on holiday. So it'd be good to see if there was a difference between holiday versus home scoring advantage.
Yeah, that would be quite interesting. Yeah, but no, I really love this. And yeah, like I said, it inspired me to go and buy the game, so it says a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In terms of design, I'm not sure. I know the background is the logo of the game, but I find it a little bit distracting for it to be everywhere. I'd maybe just keep it, or try and tone it down just a little bit more to bring the text and the analysis out a bit.
Yeah,
Do you
no,
agree?
I agree. So when I first saw this, I didn't understand what it was because I'd never played the game, but now I understand what it is, and I totally get why it's been done this way. But it is a little bit distracting with so I get why we've got the transparency, because I think if you had it each section in white, it just wouldn't look right. But at the same time, it is distracting because it's quite an intricately designed tiles are quite intricately designed. So yeah, I would experiment and see if we could maybe have it as maybe a banner down the side, or as a header or something, and then keep the background just sort of solid like white.
Yeah.
Okay. The next one is by Gorzad, which is looking at the Battle of Handball Pharaohs.
I really like this visualization, even much so that I had to dig in to see how it was built, and this person has painstakingly put all of the charts at the bottom together and stitched them quite nicely.
Yes.
I would hope there is a way to do that now with the map layers.
Maybe that's a
Hopefully.
challenge for you, Lorna, for a Workout Wednesday.
Oh God, okay. I'll see what I can do.
Yeah, so we're talking about this chart, right? So we've got,
Yeah.
we can see the position team, the goal difference, and the group games all in the same view. Now, yeah, I think what we were hoping it would all be in one sheet, which would be amazing, but it's not. It's some careful kind of like layering of sheets on top of each other, which must have taken forever.
Yeah, so I appreciate the time that's gone into this one, because that must have been very painful to do.
Yeah, it's a really impressive viz. Like there's so much to it. It must have taken a long time to put all this together. Just keeps going on and on and on.
Yeah, no, I really like it. I think just everything about it just brings it together with the story, and just scrolling down, it's like going through the preliminary rounds, and then the group stages, and then the final. I'd maybe want a little bit more information in the final section to understand how they got to the final, because the only thing I know about them is the score. Is there anything else that helps them get towards that final?
Yeah, there's no tooltips or anything. I guess that's probably up here, but then you've got to kind of really dig into it to understand what was happening, right?
Yeah, because I think it'd be good to see. Okay, well, the Spain won the quarterfinals, but how many previous games did they win, and has that affected their like win streak or things like that?
Okay, so you're more interested in what happened before the quarterfinals?
I'd probably, yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. I'm just looking for it here. There doesn't seem to be. Is it? I don't know. There's okay. There's interactivity up here. So there's no interactivity down here. I really appreciate how the design is consistent throughout. So we've got the same kind of encoding going on here as we have at the top as well, which is nice.
Yep. I wonder what the jump lines are for.
It's to connect the different teams, so like Germany.
Okay, so that's like, when they won it.
Yeah, so you can see if they've won it more than once. It's just that the Germany one looks huge because it was a long time between when they won it, both times, in fact.
Yeah, that makes sense. No, I just really like this visualization. And I think the group rounds is definitely creative. And yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I was just going to say, I like the overall design as well. So that it's nice, clean, like design, and I like this inclusion of like the hieroglyphics at the top, and then at the bottom, if you go right down again, we see that again, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah. It's very consistent for sure.
Yeah, I know. To be honest, apart from what we've said already, I wouldn't really change much else, even if I was entering it for IronViz, because I think it already includes a lot of analysis. It's good storytelling, and you see it right from like the whole tournament from the beginning. Plus, you get that context at the bottom around history. So I think it's kind of hitting all those marks already.
Yeah, maybe a few more annotations here and there. So like on the group stage, specifically, you might want to call out those that have had like a 3 streak. For example, Denmark and Hungary have had the 3 group games that they've won, whereas some of the others and Sweden, maybe it's just calling those out, and that's potentially why that they haven't got through.
I guess, yeah, because I guess the onus is on the reader to kind of really delve into this and spend time with it and understand what's going on. So if there were some things with some annotations called out, that might be quite nice. Yeah,
and because of the way it's built, I think that's probably why the tooltips are not always showing, because of it layering up. within Tableau, so you can't hover over Norway and specifically see all of the information, for example, or on your screen it's like if you hover over Japan, the name of Japan, you can't see it unless you hover over the actual dots at the bottom. So I think that's just to do with the way that it's built within Tableau.
Yeah, because we can only show one sheet, the top one, right? Yeah. But no, really great work. It's really, really good and an interesting topic as well.
Yeah, I really like this one.
Yeah. Okay, the next one is by Ingrid, and this is all about code switch, songs giving us life. So code switch, are you familiar with code switch at all?
Nope, I've never heard of it until looking at this visualization.
Okay, I think it must be
similar to Spotify?
But no, it's on Spotify.
Oh, okay.
So it's a playlist on Spotify. I'm assuming it's maybe NPR. Code Switch is a podcast, maybe. Code Switch staff and its listeners. I don't know. Anyway, there's a playlist on Spotify that they put together, and it's basically music that's supposed to help you get through life and just make you feel good. So we're looking at the songs on the playlist and their attributes. And you've done some analysis like this before, haven't you, Lorna?
Yeah, my last IronViz entry was the sound of wellness. So looking at the wellness genre on Spotify and seeing what classified it as a wellness song. Looking at things like tempo, danceability, and the energy of each of the songs. So very similar to what's going on in this one.
Yeah. And can you remember when you did yours, what you found, like what was the most, in terms of wellness, what kind of traits stuck out? It's been the most common.
I think having like a low tempo, because they're normally quite smooth and slow songs to go with, especially if you're doing things like yoga and things like that. So the slowness of the songs really stuck out.
Yeah, okay. So I really like this. I like the simplicity of the design. We've got really consistent use of colours. So really it's only the white, the background, and then the orange. And I appreciate the annotations as well. So we can, Agata's like, so not Agata, Ingrid is calling out artists and songs that stand out. So like Frank Ocean, who I'm a massive fan of, by the way, and other artists, just calling them out for like their tempo or just key traits about them. I guess one thing I would change is the orientation of the bar chart. Again, I just think horizontal bars are much easier to read. Now, it may be like this because of space. Perhaps it didn't look right in that small space, but I would be inclined to make this a little bit bigger and give it some more room, as if at the moment it feels like some of the elements are a little bit close together, so I'll be inclined to space them out a bit just to give it room to breathe, really, especially where we have things going right up to the edge, like this bar here, for instance.
Yeah, one of the things I was going to say is slightly opposite to that. I would have not put this as a scrolly viz. I would have made this fit onto one 1200 by 800, for example, because then you make it wider, rather than longer, and then I can see everything. So when you're highlighting the most energy song, for example, on David Bryan, you then have to scroll down to be able to see where that sits in the rest of the charts itself. So I think being able to see it all on one page, that would have been quite nice for this particular visualization. Yeah,
I guess it would be nice if these rankings sat next to the chart that they were related to.
Yeah.
Because so we've got danceability, energy is, well, there's not one for energy. We've got tempo, which I guess it's the same, right? I think.
Well, it's got average energy versus
tempo. Yeah. But yeah, so putting these next to the chart they most relate to, the popularity one is not It's not a chart, is it? No.
No. Well, it's the popularity versus danceability, so they're kind of together in that bottom one.
Yeah, okay. And okay. I've just noticed that we've got a parameter here, so I'm just going to change this. I want to see what happens. Okay, so we can expand the list. There's also looks like there's a website embedded, but for whatever reason it's not working. I'm getting a cookies message. I don't know if you've got the same.
Yeah, mine did the same as well.
It's a little bit unpredictable when you include like links to like URLs. I've had some bad experiences in the past where I've tried to embed a web page and it just doesn't work.
Yeah, even if I keep clicking agree and continue, it just doesn't let me. It's that cookies page, isn't it?
Yeah, so. I wonder what this was. Anyway, but yeah, I think we both agree that changing the layout might be a good idea, but it's not. I mean, it's a great viz as it is, but that might be the next step. I do like the fact that we've got the highlight action, so we can see when we hover over an artist, them in the list, or over here we can actually pick them out. But as Lorna said, it helps if everything's on the same screen when you're doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So the next one is by Jessica, and it's all about Bridgerton, the most popular series now on Netflix, I think. Have you seen it, Lorna?
I haven't.
No.
It's not appealed to me. I'm normally into like these type of series, but it's just not appealed to me. Maybe I'll give it a go.
Yeah, see, I'm not into period drama, but then I saw everyone going crazy for it. So I thought, okay, I'll give it a go. And I watched the first episode and it's not really my thing. I don't watch a lot of romance. I watch more like drama and thriller type of things. It's by no means bad. It's just not, yeah, I don't know. I might give it another try. But I really liked, I don't know if you saw this, but I think Jessica kind of broke this viz out into different kind of cards, I'd say. Let's call them cards. And did you see what she did on Twitter with this? Yeah, so I spent ages looking at that. I really enjoyed it. And I didn't know that at the end there was going to be a viz as well, so I was really surprised and pleasantly surprised about it. So I really like this. I like how she's calling out these stats. It's really interesting to see because I think it's all to do with Twitter data, right? So it's popularity and then what people were talking about on Twitter in terms of Bridgerton, because it did go a little bit crazy for a while. It was like trending for ages. Hence why I caved in and watched it. I mean, you can just see from the stats here that this is insane. So I like what she's done and like kind of broken it down into different cards, different analysis. I'm just looking at it again.
Yeah, I really like it. One of the things I'd say is, do you need to see the exact number? I'd probably reduce them down to thousands or millions. I don't think I need to know there was 3,658,872. Maybe like 3.65 mil would have been enough to get that point across.
These numbers are really big. It's quite hard to manage when you get up to that stage. It's like, how do I even say that and get it right? I think, I remember a talk at one of the Tableau conferences by David Spiegelhalter. He's a statistician. He says that people often, when you want to make an impact and really scare people with numbers, then show them really big. But in this case, I don't think we need to scare anybody by saying these are really big numbers. It's fantastic, but 35 million likes would be absolutely fine. And that would save some space as well. Sorry. My watch is talking to me. Just 35 million would be fine. I just like how she's called out some key findings from the analysis. So we've got the day with the most tweets. We don't see a chart of tweets by day anywhere. So I was going to say that could be linked, but it doesn't matter.
There's one down. Is there one not at the bottom? Number of tweets by hour. I guess
it's by hour. Sorry.
You could have probably changed that into a marginal histogram to see days of the week versus time as well.
I guess what we're not seeing here is how the popularity changed over time.
Yeah.
So yeah, as you say, if we had that combined with the dates, maybe, you know, because this got really popular over like the Christmas period and then the holidays. So it would be quite interesting to see that over time, and how maybe popularity grew as more people were tweeting about it, and that kind of thing. It looks like on the whole, everyone's very positive, which is good. I'm not negative. I'm on the fence. I was going to say I'm not in the 14%.
Yeah, I think one thing to also be careful of is them tooltips. The effort has gone in so much to creating the visualization that something like tooltips shouldn't need to let you down. But having the standard tooltips is maybe just form them into a little bit more of a sentence, I'd say.
Yeah. No, I agree.
And the most popular character one is repeated twice. You've got like 2 cards, one with just a sentence and then one with the bar chart itself. So maybe that's where that trend over time could go, and to see how much it's changed or how much more people are tweeting about it.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I guess there's no, I guess if you're looking at this, you've never watched Bridgerton, it would be quite interesting to add kind of the why as to why Daphne and Simon are the most popular. So I think they're the 2 that are pictured here. I'm pretty sure that she's Daphne and I think he's Simon, because everyone was raving about him on Twitter. But it might be good to have an annotation to say that they're the main characters. So therefore, it's kind of no surprise that they're. And in terms of when we say popularity here, we're talking about most mentions, right? It's not that everyone's saying, "Oh, like she's my favorite character." It's just that they're talking about her the most.
Yeah. But I love the design of it though. I like how it's split out into the cards, like you've said. The background of them all must have took a little bit of time to pull together.
Yeah. I'm sure she probably designed this in something else and then added the charts on top, I imagine. But I do like the card style, and I really appreciate the way that it was shared on Twitter, because it's not something that you usually see people do. Yeah, no, great work. Okay, so next one is by Josh Preston, and this is looking at a Stephen King novel called The Dark Tower. And I bet, Lorna, you're not a fan of Stephen King, so I know you pretty well.
Yeah, no, not a fan at all. I'm a fan of this viz. I'm not a fan of anything to do with his work, I'm afraid.
So I am. I actually really love Stephen King. My dad's a massive Stephen King fan, and there's a book called The Stand, which is by Stephen King. It's very dark, and it's really, really long. And my dad has tried to make me read it many times over the years, and I still haven't. But I will one day. But yeah, so this is looking at The Dark Tower, which is a novel by Stephen King. Obviously, Stephen King writes a lot of horror and kind of mysterious novels. I'm just looking at the viz, just bear with me.
That is very strange that you actually have different fonts to me.
Okay. What fonts are you seeing? It's better than mine, probably.
Yes. Yours is Times New Roman by the looks of it.
And what font did Josh design it in? Can you tell?
I'm on a Mac, you're on Windows, so it could be that issue between the 2 different browsers as well. I'm using Safari and not Chrome. But it looks more Arial,
okay,
I think, to me. So I don't know which one's. Maybe it's worth Josh reaching out to us and telling us which font he did use.
It's interesting you say that, because I got a new laptop a few months back, and I have a viz on IronQuest, actually, the tracker viz, and I think it's using what font is it? I can't remember. It's not a particularly funky font. It's something that's pretty standard, but I don't have it installed on this machine. So when I look at that viz now, it looks terrible because it defaults to Times New Roman. And I had no idea that this happened before, because it looked fine whenever I looked at it on my old laptop. So I think it's to do with that, isn't it? If you haven't got Well, it is normally with Tableau Server, but perhaps that's the same case here.
I think Tableau Public only has a specific amount of fonts anyway,
So then about
and
20.
browsers. Yeah, so
even then it's a bit unpredictable at times.
Yeah.
Okay, so we can look at the work, it's all about the Dark Tower, which is a saga, and then we can look at the different works. So I'm just bear with me, sorry. It's not just the Dark Tower, is it? No. Okay, so I was going to say that like there's not that many Dark Towers. So it's looking at all of the books that Stephen King's done, which is obviously tons, and how many of those have been adapted into movies, audiobooks, novels, etc.
Yeah. I think it would have been nice to remove those borders off of that particular selection process, and try and do the false highlight so that you don't get that blue highlight on it.
Yeah, it's like Tableau again. It's like spoils the design at times.
Yeah,
I really love this chart here and the animation, the way it changes. It's really nice.
Yeah, feels like a clock as such.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the positioning. Oh, I've just killed it by clicking television. The positioning is. I'm just trying to figure out like where do we start. Okay, so it's solemn slot. Yeah. Goes
so
round.
Start at the top and then go round.
Yeah. You've seen The Shining though, Lorna, haven't you? I hope.
I have not.
Oh gosh.
Oh, see, so when you click off it, it does give you more of a timeline. I think having that when you click on them for specific individual episodes would be useful.
Yes, the years disappear, I think, and it just shows the titles. What I don't know is why some of the labels appear for some of them and not all. So if we look at poem, for instance, oh no, I lied. I'm sure some of them had.
No, I don't think any of them did.
Okay.
No.
I'd like to see some, if it's not a request, but it would be good to see some because you kind of, I think it's really nice seeing them on this view and then you kind of lose that detail.
I think maybe it's the trick here is not to filter, to highlight instead, and then they'd still appear, right?
Yeah. So if I look for, I can use one of these. So say Bad Little Kid. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, but it'd be nice if you clicked on the specific adaptation of it and then it'd just highlight those versions sticking with the timeline feeling.
Yeah, agreed. And then we have a chart. We're looking at his acclaimed sci-fi and fantasy book series, and specifically calling out the Dark Tower, and then the number of words in each edition. Stephen King writes long books, as you can see.
Yeah.
And then I guess we can do that for all of them. So if we go to like Outlander. No, okay. So I was thinking that maybe we'd get the similar chart for each one, but we don't.
Yeah, maybe it's worth removing. You can still hover over and seeing it. I was going to say removing the hover option, but it's important information in the tooltip, right? So.
Yeah. I like how he's included a quote in each one.
Mm-hmm.
It's nice. And then at the bottom, we're looking at the characters, and are they human or something else?
Yep.
Get a sense of the books there.
Yeah, I'm definitely getting a sense of it. I'm still not sure I'm going to want to read it.
But no,
I do like that. Yeah, I was going to say I like the way it's laid out there.
Yeah, I'm just wondering why some of the circles were filled in. And is that because
it says just underneath the title, the world is strange, and then it says main character or supporting.
Okay. makes sense. So there's a lot of supporting humans.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. No, I really like this. It's nice. I don't know is the title supposed to be like that?
Again, it doesn't look like that on mine.
Okay. I thought it looked a little bit odd.
Yeah, I think it has got a 3D effect on mine, so maybe it is that the font isn't installed on Chrome. Because
Yeah.
it's got a slight 3D effect, just not that to that extent.
Yeah. Okay. But no, great work. And let me just check. Okay, it's general feedback, so I won't go into it. But yeah, no, great job, Josh. Okay, so the next one here was actually a visit of the day, and it's all about film festivals. So I think you say his name, Christoph. Was looking at film festivals. Basically, obviously, film festivals haven't happened in person because of coronavirus and everything. So Christoph had actually attended a film festival virtually via an online platform. So in this Viz, scroll down to the bottom, he tracked kind of what films he watched over which days and over which time. And obviously the length is the length of the film. And these are 2 film festivals that he attended. So the colour shows the different festival, which I thought was quite interesting. So this is almost like his schedule.
Yeah, that's really nice. I think on the tooltip that you've got more information about the specific about the specific film. It'd probably nice to be able to see that without having to hover over.
Mm-hmm.
So then I can quickly glance at this particular visualization and be like, oh yeah, I think I should watch this particular film.
Yeah, it'd be nice if we could see that like encoded somehow. So maybe with circles or just some way of showing that without writing it on, right? Some visual way would be nice, so we can see at a glance. Okay, this film has got a really good review. You should check it out.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the different sections and genres. So maybe it would be quite nice if there was a way to filter for or highlight different genres, perhaps, so we can see. I think a lot of them, like dramas, documentaries, etc., thrillers. So if we were trying to find a film from here, we could use that kind of interactivity.
Yeah.
I do really like the layout of this and the simplicity, the color use. It looks really nice, and the font as well is nice.
The one thing I'd say is it is very big, and that's probably to fit all of the films in that they have watched. But for me, I think I try and squish it in a little bit more into one screen, maybe the font a little bit smaller or something like that.
Yeah, I'm struggling to interact a bit because you could see me like having to go down to scroll and then back because it's so big. Yes, I agree. But I do really like it. I'd say if it was going to be entered for IronViz, it definitely needs more analysis. So maybe some of the things that we've described, or just some more information about the films and more charts that kind of dig into the detail would be good, I think.
Yeah.
Or even maybe like, because I'm really impressed with the amount of film watching that went on over these days. Like,
no.
So maybe like how your thoughts about the films, that were they any good, or like were there days where you felt there was better content than others, or that kind of thing would be quite nice to see.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, but otherwise I think it's a great viz. Okay, the next one is by Laura Elliott, and this one is looking at Supernatural. So the first thing I'm going to ask you, Lorna, is have you watched Supernatural?
No.
No,
I have not, but I do really like this visualization.
Yeah. It's like a poster. It's super crisp. Yeah. I haven't watched Supernatural either, but I do know what it is. And this isn't the first Supernatural viz we've had for Iron Quest either. So Matty Seuss, or I'm not sure how you say his name, but he did a Supernatural viz and got Viz of the Day. I think that was for Myths, Mystery and Magic. So yeah, I love the
Yeah,
design.
no, I really like how much information's in one.
Just in one visual.
Sorry.
Yeah. You go for it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was just going to say I love how it's all in one in one chart type, and being able to see like the ratings and the number of viewers and the deaths and things like that. One of the things I'd probably do is the black lines, which is the viewers, does overlap the circles, so I'd maybe move the deaths down a little bit more, so that you can like move the deaths at the viewers outside of the deaths, so you can get the full effect of it, because some of the viewers are hidden behind the circles.
Okay, so you'd make the bars longer all around. Is that what you're saying? Or
Yeah.
move the splatters in.
Move the splatters in.
Okay. Yeah, so when I saw this, obviously it looks beautiful, but then I really appreciate the key down here. I like the way that this is designed, and it explains everything that really well. But yeah, I don't think, other than what you've described, I don't think I would change anything. The tooltips are nicely formatted, which I appreciate as well.
Yeah.
And it's quite interesting to see how the viewers like dropped off.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what happened there, but
It might have just been a too long of a series or something.
maybe. Yeah. Who knows?
I think it'd be good to also have a look at this by season as well. So if you wanted to put some more analysis in it, then to see how the seasons change, like is the popularity going down over the seasons? Is the number of blood splatters going up and things like that? So I think it would be good to be able to break it down to a particular season.
Yeah, agreed. Especially like where we've got the IMDb ratings, right? So we can see they're pretty consistent, I think. Apart from this, I don't know what happened here, but it seemed like no one liked that episode. Yeah, I agree. It would be nice to be able to split them out, and because quite often there'll be like a big season finale and everyone will love it or hate it. It's like usually you have people on polar opposites, and then that may explain some of the stats we're seeing. So maybe the viewers drop off or things, or maybe there's lots of kills on the last episode of the season or something.
Yeah, I wonder where the viewers' data come from, because I wonder if it's the viewers that watched it live, or whether they're now rewatching it.
I don't know. It doesn't say. The data's, well, IMDb supernatural wiki, but I'm assuming that's more to do with the blood splatter, not the kills. I'm curious because it's not data you see very often, right?
No.
Yeah. Okay. Great work, Laura. Okay, the next one is by Michelle Freeman. And I just want to say, Michelle, if you're listening, I'm finally reviewing your bids, because I never include Michelle because we've been so overwhelmed over the last couple of months that I've been prioritising new authors, and Michelle's been dedicated IronQuest participant for quite a while now. So yeah, we've got Michelle's bids in this time.
Yeah, I love this visualization of how personal it is. It's definitely a personal visualization.
Yeah, it took me a while to figure out what the books meant. I got it in the end, but I do really love how personal it is, and it's the love of Michelle and her family like really comes through in this. It's really, really nice. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't change much, to be honest.
No, I don't think that there's much that I'd change either. I really like. I like how simple it is.
Yeah, I bet you like the cats as well, don't you?
Of course. Although I don't know quite what they mean though, because there's 3 cats and then 2 cats, but I only see 3 cats lost.
So she's got, I think she started off, they had 3 cats, and now they've got 2 cats.
Okay, so they've lost Darcy, they've lost Aslan,
Aslan.
and lost Whiskers.
And
they've adopted
Laura and Quinn.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. I think maybe clarifying that a little bit more may help. Maybe adding it to the bookshelf.
Yeah, maybe I'd move the cats up here.
Mm-hmm.
Or nearer the bookshelf.
They can be the bookends though, right? When you have the things at the end of your bookshelf.
Yeah, they could be facing different ways. So they have 3 facing one way and 2 facing the other way. I don't know. Yeah, I used to have cat bookends, funny enough, when I was younger. But I like how Michelle's shown where the names came from as well, which I thought was nice.
Yep.
Like naming after like different characters and things. And also the fact that she's only used one colour throughout this, aside from the background. It's really impressive.
Yeah. I think I'd be tempted to use more than one colour, but that's not me.
Easily done.
Yeah.
Yeah, great work, Michelle. Thank you for entering. All right, the next one is by Patrick, and this is looking at A Drink with Shane McGowan, who's, I believe, an Irish singer.
Yep.
Yeah.
That visualization looks it's a long form visualization, but I like the data that's behind it, but then also it's not so serious with the pint glasses and things like that. So I think it really fits quite nicely.
Yeah, I really love the fact that he's kind of associated each of these with almost like a drink. Are these? I'm assuming these are different bands that he's played in.
I assume so. The Pogues definitely sung a song about whiskey and wine, didn't they?
Did the Pogues sing a Christmas song?
They did.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I don't know what else they sang. I'm sorry.
But yeah, I think that's exactly what it is. But the animations are quite smooth and nicely when you click on the pick your poison section, and it's nice to see all of them change at the bottom.
Yeah. Plus we have a nice fizzing tooltip as well. Really nice tooltips on this. I really like how he's included the clover leaf and then the individual breakdown of so not rather than just looking at that particular attribute like danceability, he's actually looking at much more in the tooltip as well.
Yeah, I'd maybe take out those axes though,
and just show the I guess the axes are a little bit redundant, right?
Yeah, they're all either 1, 100 or 10. So it's all fixed anyway. So as long as you have a legend to say that.
Yeah, or maybe even you could say out like 12/100.
Yeah.
That would work.
Mm-hmm. I like how it's looking like cigarettes as well.
Yeah, I didn't notice that, but yeah, you're right. It's very clever.
Yeah, I really like this visualization.
It says click a orange circle to fill your drink, but my drink doesn't change. Is it supposed to, do you think it's supposed to?
Yeah, so if you click one that's not 070, it changes to.
Okay, yeah, got it.
Yeah.
That's really nice. And there's it's got the transitions in there as well.
Yeah, it just shows how much down it's going. I'd take the reference lines off that, well, when you click on a mark that the reference line changes, because I don't think that's quite needed.
No, I don't think it is. I'd say as well, I think we just double check. Oh, it's general feedback. Okay, I was just going to give some Ivan's feedback, but I guess the only thing that I might change is add maybe some annotations, maybe to talk about some of these songs, and maybe even make it personal. So maybe call out your favorite songs, or that's it. I guess that's the only thing that's not included here. That could be like something that could be added. But yeah, no, I really like the creativity.
But I really like the theme and
it's all bang on, like
Yeah.
with everything, and the picture as well is just, yeah, it syncs up really nice. Okay, the next one is by Priyanka, and this is looking at the Hollywood movie calendar. So I spent a lot of time looking at this because I'm really missing going to the cinema. It just feels like there's not been any like new movies out for ages as well, because of they've all been put on hold or whatever because of COVID. So I was playing with this, and the fun thing about this vid is that you can change the color of the background or the squares. And that just, and she added, she said, because I made them do black and white visits recently. So she's like, now I just want to go crazy with color. So I'm going to include this, which I thought was quite funny.
I think it'd be nice to add that as the text on the background as well. So the shading of the calendar, like the behind the.
You mean all the way around?
No. So the title, so where it's got the shading behind it.
Okay.
It'd be nice to change that color as well, because I find that a little bit difficult to read sometimes.
You mean like the shadow?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Fair enough. So yes, we're looking at all the movies that are due to come out this year, and when they're going to be released, and also which kind of production house is responsible for them, so we can filter by production house or look at some key dates. So if I'm looking at week 7 they all mainly come out on a Friday. You can see there's like tons of films coming. I would say that one thing that stuck out was that we've got the problem here of the tooltip being too big, so there's too much information to show for this one, which is something you need to be careful of. So I've got a warning here that the view is too large to show.
Yeah, I think that just needs the height changing in the inside the settings of the Vision tooltip.
Yeah, something to test it out. I mean, I am picking the like day with the most, but that's the one that's highlighted, so I'm kind of instantly drawn there.
Yeah, I think one thing about this, I like the weeks going down, but I think it'd be nice to have the month break as well, so that I know week 5 is the first week in February, but what week is week 17, for example, like without hovering over, I don't know that specific information. So I think just having the months down the side would help.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I'm just going to use some of the interactivity. So if I click on Netflix. Okay, so I can see. That's interesting. Would you expect, so what behavior would you expect when you click on one of these? So I thought it was going to maintain the weeks, but just show me the Netflix data. But what happens is that it only shows the weeks where, in this case, Netflix have releases.
Yeah, I'd agree with you. I would have thought, like, why is the 12 highlighted when you click off of it? I guess that's just the most amount of films being released on that specific day, but I'd expect, like you said, this to change.
Yeah, because you lose that sense of time, right?
Yeah.
And it goes back to your point about the months, because I don't know about you, but I don't know which, without thinking about it for a while, I wouldn't be able to tell you which week falls in which month.
No. The year view is very interesting though. So if you click the year view button, it gives you it in calendar form.
Okay.
So that's quite nice as well if you're just want to look at a specific month and to see all the films being released, then you can do it that way.
That's interesting.
There's just no option to filter by specific streaming network, I don't think, on this one.
No.
So that would be my thing to add.
Yeah, when I first saw it, I thought that the position of these bars related to something over here, which
So did I.
So I might put a very subtle line in between them to show that they are different things.
Yep.
But yeah, and I do like it, and it's the thing I like most about this is it's useful, right? So I could come back to this and actually use it. I think that's why Priyanka designed it, so she could actually use it, because she's like a film buff and is looking forward to seeing what's coming out and when.
Yeah, it'd be good to see if for future analysis as to if she's watched any of these films, what her rating was, and where should, like, if I go back to or if I'm in March, for example, should I go back to any of those films that were launched in week 1 or week 2 based on Priyanka's score?
Yeah, or even that sometimes the critic scores come out before the film's released.
Yeah,
so that might be good to include if that data is available, to show like critics are saying this film's going to be a good one or this is going to be terrible, don't bother. Another thing that might be quite nice is a line chart just to show this data over time, right? So I think in the heat map form that we have now, it's quite difficult to sense the number of the movies that are coming out when, especially where we've got some that are spread across different days of the week other than Friday. So I might quite just like to see like a trend line to show when most of the releases are going to happen.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, but no, it's really good. Okay, the next one is by Ryan, and this one is called Out for a Run. So what's interesting about this viz is he was inspired by Hey Dougie, which is a children's cartoon for the design, which I thought was great. I mean, if you didn't know, then you wouldn't be able to tell. But the fact that I now know this, I think it's just excellent the way he's applied that to a completely different topic.
Yeah, I think it reminds me of Salesforce, if I'm honest.
Do you know what it reminds me of? Ben and Jerry's.
Yes.
But yeah, no, you're right.
But yeah, I really like this, how he's used his own personal data to show when he's running, how many miles and things like that.
Yeah, and I was surprised he's been incredibly consistent with the days that he goes running. I was really, really impressed.
Yep.
What I would love to see is where things didn't go, things happen. So we've got the things that stand out as being a little bit different. I'd love to see some annotations or something to show the story around what happened on those days. So why did he run on this day, where I'm not sure what day of the week this is, but when pretty much every other week he didn't run on that day. So was it like the weather was bad?
And why is there a red cross?
Yeah, cancelled marathon.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I agree.
I think it'd be good to also do this in like that marginal histogram for, it's just split up a little bit more. I'd maybe remove the gap between the daily activity and
these in.
Bring them down a little bit, yeah.
So okay, I've got the days of the weeks here. So Wednesdays. So what happened that Wednesday? It doesn't say. But
yeah, because I didn't immediately connect those together. I think maybe because it's long form as well, I missed that a little bit more.
Yeah, me too as well. I connected these, but not this part. But that's just purely because I was looking at it like this, where I couldn't see it in the view.
Yeah.
The breakdown of time is interesting. So he does most of his runs before 4 a.m. and 7 a.m., which I thought was really impressive, because surely then, well, at least in some parts of the world, it's very dark at those times.
Yeah.
I know, right here now it is. Like, I leave the house before 7 some days and it's dark. So yeah.
Yeah, it'd definitely be interesting to see. I guess his 4 a.m. to 7 a.m. ones are Saturdays by the looks of it. If the colours relate to each other, they're mainly on a Saturday.
I don't think the colours do. I think he's using the colour for 2 different things. Because the colour, it's the purple is the maximum. So the most popular day, the biggest, longest run, or the week that he did the most miles. I'm curious to know, he really doesn't like running between 1:01, to be precise, 1:01 and 4 p.m. So I'd like to know the story behind that. Like, is that one run that just didn't go well because it was at that time of day?
Maybe that was a specific race.
Maybe. We don't. What's interesting though is he's got the cancelled marathon, but we don't see any other races in here, do we?
Well, if it was based on 2020, they probably all got cancelled. What's the pink highlighted one? So scroll down.
That's the lowest. So it's here, up here you can see. So that the purple is the lowest value.
Okay.
The min.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So by the end of the year, probably because that was it's not a complete week, I don't think. Week 53, gave up.
But no, I really like this. Does the grass also have hover over at the bottom? It
does. Okay, so we've got a trend. Yeah.
Nice.
So
You can see when he's training for his marathon at the beginning.
Yeah, he gave up for a bit. Well, not gave up, but yeah.
Yeah.
Pandemic happened.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but no, I really like it. Really lovely design, and it's really interesting data. It reminds me a little bit of some of the analysis that another vids I've seen, basically. So a lot of people obviously do this data, but yeah.
Yeah.
And I like how he included the 2020 in the cloud here. I thought that was pretty cool. Okay, the next one is by Samuel, and this is looking at his wife's reading log. So I looked at this viz. I was really, really impressed with the amount of reading that Sam's wife does. I'm terrible for reading. I'd love to be able to read more. I just don't seem to be able to find the time. But it's interesting to see how she's been tracking her reading over the years, both in terms of books read and the pages in each book. So you can see the books with the most pages. And also, I thought the really nice touch with this is that it's got some kind of like life events and how those impacted on her reading as well.
Yeah, I mean, how can anybody read 60 books in 1 year? That is impressive. How many is that a month? Like one a week? Easily?
Yeah. It's really impressive.
That's insane. I think one thing that I'd really like to add about this is how long did it take to read each book? So obviously you have the number of books per year, but it'd be nice to say, okay, well, how many pages, like how long did it take me to read this many pages and things like that.
Or maybe some books were harder to read than others, they took longer.
And whether you're reading more than one book at one time, which I hope that isn't the case, because I think I'd get very confused myself.
I wouldn't be able to do that. I can't cope with one book.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I guess that data's not so accessible. Maybe I don't know. It'll be interesting to know how she recorded the data actually, handwritten log, sorry. And then maybe she's not been recording that, but that could be something maybe for the future.
Yeah, especially if it's reading on Kindle, you might be able to
that's
track
what I
that
was
data.
thinking. But no, I thought it's laid out really nicely. I like how the background looks like paper.
Yeah.
And how we've got those key stats at the top, and then the breakdown at the bottom. Just really simple, really nice.
Yeah, I agree. I like this one. It's just simple and nice.
Yeah. Nice and good use of colour as well. Like it's kept it nice and simple there. All right, so the next one is by Simon, and this is looking at Premier League stats. So I really enjoyed this viz, not because it's filtered to Arsenal to begin with, but he said he did that because this is alphabetical order. I don't even think Simon is an Arsenal fan, but I thought this was really cool. It's the good thing about this viz is that, assuming you support a Premier League team, this viz will instantly appeal to you. So when you look at it, you're instantly going to click on your team and have a look at the stats for your team. And there's some really interesting stuff in here. So you get I thought what was really cool was he included the stats about the stadium and how that compares to other teams, how long the manager's been in charge, the league table position at that time, and then just a sense of how the games were going so far in the season.
Yeah, I really like how it's all brought together. One of the things I'd maybe try and do is align the colours a little bit more, because they're purple for majority of things, but each team has its obviously own colour. I'd maybe try and align it that way as well.
Okay, so yeah, I guess it's mainly like red and blues, isn't it? And yellows, yeah.
Because the title changes colour, which is nice. I don't know how you'd be able, it'd take a lot more work to be able to change all of the other text to go with it. But things like the line charts and the circles could definitely change with it.
Yeah, I didn't realize the title change because I'd only ever clicked on like the red teams.
Okay.
But yeah, I see that now. I think he's managed to incorporate the logos really well. Like it's a real hit and miss when you try and do this. I know I've built some really terrible visits in the past using football logos, but somehow he's managed to pull it off here.
Yeah,
which is good, I guess.
Just the right amount of logos.
Yeah, I just like how you can see the team in comparison to everybody else.
Yeah.
The one thing I would say is I wonder if he's going to keep it updated, because obviously this is only good up to the end of December at the moment.
Yeah, there's been a couple more games this year. It'd be nice for this to be updated.
Yeah, so I don't know if that's his intention, and I think he might need to rethink about the layout, because obviously this is going to stretch longer, isn't it, with more games played. But no, I like it, and like I said, it's this could be used by anybody to track their team, or look at other teams as well.
Mm-hmm.
All right, the next one is by Takafumi, and this is looking at their their 100 visits. So I think they've just hit 100 visits on Tableau Public. So this is looking at a timeline of what those visits were, and then calling out like whether they were part of a project or just a personal project, number of views, just some key stats around those visits.
Well, firstly, I'm hoping there is some Workout Wednesdays in here somewhere.
Don't see them.
I don't see them on the list of projects down the right-hand side. I'm only joking. No, I really like the timeline and the look and feel of this. It's really quite simple and elegant.
Yeah, I really like it too. It reminds me, although it's completely different, it reminds me of Adam Green's viz that he did for the black and white round, when he was looking at the layout is similar and it's a similar topic, but it's applied in a completely different way. I appreciate how he's the is it the visitor days are the big circles, so we can see those straight away. And Takafumi has a real like unique style. So if I just quickly go to his profile, I know if I look at the Harry Potter viz, or is it? Oh, it's going to be way down. Anyway, the Harry Potter viz looks here it is at the top. I can tell by looking at it it's by the same author, because it's got a similar style, which I thought was quite nice. I
think one of the things that it'd be good to also show is the viz of the days, maybe change them to a different shape, because the rainy days in Tokyo, which is the big black circle at the top, and the Iron Quest ones, the Harry Potter spells, they both have viz of the day at the beginning. So I think it'd be quite easily enough to pick those out, to change the shape of them to I don't know, a star or something, to show they were viz of the days.
Yeah, that's a good point. The size of the circles, is that I
think it's the number of favorites.
Okay, yeah, you're right.
It'd be good to be able to switch between number of favorites versus number of views.
Yeah, because I guess you can only show one. So. Yeah, but I like it. I like the timeline approach, and I like how the title is kind of just goes back to the design as well.
Yeah, I really like this.
Yeah, and well done on reaching 100 visits as well.
Yeah, it's no easy task
in quite a short space of time. So from like the September 2019 through to the beginning of 2021. So 2 years or less. All right, the next one is by Tim, and this one is
so I've seen this viz being built.
Okay.
Tim reached out for some maths help, so I'm gonna let you talk about this one. He's already had my feedback on it.
Okay, so I know nothing about this topic, so I'll say that now. So you're just going to watch me fail big time if I try and explain it. Why don't you go for it, Lorna?
Yeah, I'm definitely not going to be able to explain it, but essentially it's looking at, I think that the impressive thing about it is the maths that's gone behind it to create it. I know this was built on, I think, maybe like 2 or 3 rows of data, and it's all been built with table calcs and bins. So
wow.
It's very impressive in terms of how it's been built. And it just goes through all of the different types of waves that you can create with, I think it's music. So or like sine waves and cosines and things like that. So yeah, I think it is quite slow, and he was struggling with the performance of it originally, but I think it's a good viz, and if you press play on, or if you can download it to desktop and press play, you'll see it all going round and quite smoothly.
Okay, I'll do that because it's my laptop sounds like it's going to blow up. I don't know if it's because of the viz or something else, but yeah, I think I think it's really cool. I'm not going to lie, I'm a little bit confused about what it's about, but that's more on me rather than on Tim.
Yep. I think I can hear your laptop taking off.
Yeah.
Maybe shut some of your tabs down from the top.
Yeah, no, I will. Hang on. Let's go through quickly. I don't think it's that though. I think it's that viz. It started when I clicked on the timeline. What did the images at the top do?
I don't know. I think there may be more information about them, about the person or something.
Okay. It's not. It's okay. No, it changed. Okay, so it explains the viz more. All right, so this is telling us what circles do. Yeah, it's really, really impressive. And I like how he's kept the design simple as well, because I think it's super duper detailed detail, right? So we don't need anything fancy to kind of overwhelm the design.
No, I definitely think take this one offline and have a look at it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Okay, next one is by Torben. So Torben's really interesting actually, is looking at, it's almost like a viz to help guide people if they want to start working with data from amateur football. So if they have like a Saturday league or something, he's included some examples here of visualizations that you could do if you want to actually analyze your own data on amateur football. So it's almost just some food for thought. So you could look at goal time analysis, creating a map of goals and assists, and looking at penalties as well. So he's taken some data, I believe, from a small amateur club like in Germany, and then use that as an example.
Yeah, I didn't see this one before. I obviously missed that one as I was going through and checking them all. But like you said, I like how simple it is, and being able to pick up this viz and hopefully use it elsewhere in different amateur football places. It's a great template for those.
Yeah, I just thought it was nice because it's not often you see something like this, and it, you know, then think of the number of clubs out there that do like no analysis on their data. So I thought this was quite nice that other clubs could pick it up and use it as inspiration and think about some of the analysis they could do of their data. I thought it was really cool. And it's laid out in a nice way, simple design. I like how he's included like the mascot there, which I thought was quite nice. But yeah, yeah, just thought it was quite interesting. In terms
I
of,
think if
I mean, he's asked like IronViz feedback, so I'd say if this was going to be entered for IronViz, I think it needs to kind of flow together. There needs to be more of a story around it. So maybe more of the reasoning why you might do this kind of analysis would be good. And some examples of where maybe perhaps where you found interesting insights in your own data by using these methods would be good to know as well.
Yep. I agree with that one. I think this is as a starting template for amateur clubs is great. I'd probably try and split them out into different dashboards though. Have this as like the overarching of how you do or like why you would use each one, and then go into the individual dashboards to show them how to create the actual dashboard rather than having as a mini section on each one.
Yeah, I don't think it needs to be long form, as you say. If it was on different pages, it might work better because they are quite distinct things. But no, I like the idea, and yeah, thought it was really creative. Okay, the next one is by Wendy, and this is one that's looking at the Paralympic Games. So she published this a few days ago, and it's been getting a lot of love on Twitter. I don't know if you've seen it so far.
I actually didn't see it on Twitter.
Okay.
But I did look at it today.
So what I thought was really impressive about this viz is that it's really interesting to see. So this is the history of the Paralympic Games, but it's really interesting to see how some sports have grown in popularity over time, and just in general the number of sports over time has grown, and you can really see that in this chart on the right. So we can see relatively few sports back in 1960, but if you compare that to the most recent years, you've just got so many more, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah, I agree. It'd be great to the lines between the sport, the number of the Olympics, and then the number of sports. It'd be good to also highlight how many people as well. So not just how many people participated, in each one of those sports, because no doubt that's grown since 1960, and maybe it would be overwhelming in the chart itself, but I think that'd be interesting to see.
Yeah, it's really interesting because some of these obviously are singular, like you play alone against one-on-one with somebody else, whereas some of them are team sports, right? So
I mean, you have that at the bottom. So you have the winter male and female, summer male and female. Over time, I don't think you have that by sports. Maybe the data doesn't exist. Yeah,
that's a good point. But I like how she's included both the Winter Olympics and the Summer Games as well. And the world map, so we can see both who's participating and where those games happen. To be honest, I really wouldn't change, other than what we've just said. I wouldn't change much. The amount of text is quite limited, which is fine. It just sets the scene, explains what the viz is all about, but it's really the charts here that tell the story.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, and I love how it includes a lot of white space as well, so it's got loads of room to breathe, and it really does tell a story over time. Yeah, great work, Wendy. All right, the next one is by Yoshi, and this is looking at the, hang on, so bring it up, the Battle of Sekigahara. I've said that completely wrong, I'm sorry. But it's looking at a battle in Japanese history. So we can see this battle happened way back in 1600. So it was a major conflict, and we can see here the two armies, so the Eastern Army and the Western Army, and then how the conflict kind of happened over time, where all the troops were and what happened. It's a very detailed story around the different main characters, and and then just a summary overall how that compares to things that happened in later years. I spent ages looking at this, interacting with it to understand the story. I thought it was super duper interesting. One thing I would change is up here we've got the icons representing the different, I think these armies. I want to get the icons represent the different armies. I think, is that correct, Lorna?
Yeah,
yeah.
so.
Yes, and they're sized by the number of soldiers in each army. I think the sizing makes this quite difficult to read because they're all different sizes based on the number of soldiers. So one thing I would change is actually perhaps change this into a bar chart with the icons on next to the bars, so we can see the number of soldiers on the bars, and then the icon that represents that army next to the bar, because I think that might be easier to understand than the current format where I think it's quite overwhelming with all the different icons of different sizes. Have you got anything to add?
And thinking about this one, it's definitely, there's a story going on. You've got chapter 1, chapter 2, etc. Maybe it's worth taking this out of long form and putting it either into story points. Not that we like story points much, but story points, or even using tableaus and the buttons for forward and backward in dashboards, because I think being able to just click through the story rather than scrolling down would probably enhance this.
Yeah, because it is very, very long, and there's a lot going on in each section, but they are all similar sizes, so that might work quite well, where you could just show each chapter on a different tab or screen. Yeah, I agree. It reminds me of something that's just come straight out of a book. I can imagine this being in a textbook. I like the design. Yep. And the imagery used. I thought it was really interesting. And I do appreciate the fact that right at the bottom, it kind of puts this battle into perspective, which is, I thought was really cool.
Yeah, it's really nice. I think one of the things that I'm struggling with is it looks like it uses Tableau's default color palette. That may be coincidence with the army colors or things like that. But I'd probably try and steer away from that as best as possible, because it that's just kind of let it down a little bit for me.
Why would you do that? Because those colors don't work well, or just because you think it's not creative?
I don't think it goes with the viz itself.
Yeah, I get what you mean. Yeah, because we've got the orange and the blue, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, the one thing I'd say
maybe
is
greens and greys,
something a little bit less dominant, maybe. I don't know. Yeah. Yeah, I'd say if this was, so this Yoshi's asked for IronViz feedback, and I'd say if this was the end of IronViz, I think what we'd need to see is a little bit more analysis. So we've got the counts over here and the bar charts, got the chart at the bottom, but everything else is quite it's a lot of just images and maps. There's not so much analysis going on. There's a lot of text to describe what was happening, but probably need to see some more analysis to back this up. So some more charts would be good, but storytelling is definitely really strong. Just tons of information packed in here.
Yeah, I like maybe turn off the scrolling on one of the maps. I think it's on chapter 2. When I'm scrolling down, if I'm hovering over the map, I then scroll in and out of that map. So I think you've turned them off for all of the other ones, just not chapter 2's map.
Yeah, I like the annotations as well that describe what's
Mm-hmm.
going on. What quite might be nice is if we were to go through that like slide view that you described, like story points or however that resonates, having just a page looking at the key characters, the key players would be quite nice, because we've got some prominent like people that kind of pop up in the story. It'd be quite nice just to get an overall like page on who they were and their role as well. Yeah, but I really enjoyed it. It's very unique. It'd actually be really good for the current Iron Quest round, which is on history. All right, so the next one is by Young. So Young in this viz looked at agricultural microbiology, which so Young is a PhD candidate in microbiology, so he does a lot of scientific vizzes. And what I love about Young's work is he takes something that's incredibly detailed and complex and makes it more consumable through data viz. And with this viz as well, I think he's included some artwork from perhaps one of his friends or something, which I thought was really nice. But all of his vizzes have this unique style, and you can see instantly that it's a viz that's by him. I like this one because it kind of talks about the optimum like makeup of soil, in particular organic soil. And then he includes some scientific kind of drawings that he does in a special tool. But what I really liked about it was this chart at the bottom, which I thought was really interesting, that he included the different cell shapes and the different like attributes of the soil. So even though it's incredibly technical, it's quite easy to consume.
Yep, I agree. I don't think I have anything more to add to this, except maybe the plant microbiome. It'd be great if that was built in Tableau, so I could hover over each of the numbers to then bring up that specific text value. It's up a little bit.
This one?
No, so keep that. Yeah, that one. Sorry.
Yeah, this plant. Okay, yeah, got it. So you could hover over these to have tooltips.
Yeah, even if that's just even if the image is in the background and just where the numbers are, just making them like sheets and adding them as a tooltip. I think that would be quite nice for this particular.
Yeah, so I think he does a lot of these in some special like scientific software that's designed for this, but you could still use Tableau to, like as you say, like use that as a background image and bring it to life with some interactivity. That's something to consider. But yeah,
especially using like animations and pages and things like that to show the cycle of the plant.
Yeah, I agree. But I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really detailed and there's a good balance of analysis in here. But yeah. All right, the last one is by Yuta. I hope I'm saying that correctly. And this is looking at the history of Sheena, Ringo and Incidents Tokyo, which is a band, I believe, or musician, sorry. So Sheena Ringo is the musician, and Incidents Tokyo is the band that she started. So Incidents Tokyo is her solo career, and Sheena Ringo was when she was in the band.
Other way around.
Other way around?
Yep.
No, are you sure?
Yeah, Sheena Ringo is a musician active in Japan. Incidents Tokyo is the band she started.
Is that not what I said?
No, you said it the other way around.
All right, okay, sorry. All right, so we're looking at the timeline of both Sheena Ringo and Incidents Tokyo, and kind of what happened when, so what they released, and then that switch over to the band, right away from the solo career.
Yeah, I think this is nice in terms of showing that timeline. It's mad to think that she created some solo songs while she was with the band. I thought everything would have been focused on how to improve the band itself, not.
Yeah, that's quite interesting because that rarely happens, because when you find like a band member doing stuff like that, often it upsets the band and then they split up.
Yeah.
You've seen that with other people, like, I don't know, Robbie Williams, for instance, and Take That.
Yep.
But it looks like she had quite a successful career. both in the band and as a solo artist.
What is the difference in the sizes? Oh, I think
One's a
it's
single, one's an album. So the big circle
okay.
is, it says down here, how to
Yeah.
read. So small circle means single or streaming a release, and big circle means an album release. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of albums. It's tons.
Yeah, I feel like the singles are kind of missed here. So I
Can't see
think
them. Yeah.
the layering needs to switch around so that the singles get brought forward, and maybe add a border around them so at least you can separate them out from
the
albums.
I might be inclined to show them in maybe white so we can actually see them, because I understand why they are in the color that they are, but as you say, they're quite difficult to see, especially where you've got a lot of singles and albums happening around the same time. I'm really, really impressed by the the number of albums.
Yeah.
I don't know how long these albums were. There could just be a few tracks, but
I guess that's one thing that you could add then is how many tracks were in an album.
Yeah.
On a Vision tooltip or something.
Yeah. But no, I think it's a really nice way of showing the artist's career. Like, it's definitely like inspired me and got me thinking about what I could do for different artists.
Yep.
And I like the simplicity and the use of color. It's really consistent.
Yeah, I like that too.
Yeah. I guess just let me just double check. I guess in terms of IMVIS feedback, I guess the storytelling is great, the design is great. I guess the only thing that would probably need more of is some more analysis. So maybe some more analysis in terms of like the musical attributes, or how well these releases did in terms of sales or streaming stats, that kind of thing.
Yep.
Yeah. No, great work. That's it. We're done. So yeah, thank you, Lorna, for joining me today.
You're very welcome. Thank you for having me. It's been great fun going through all of these visualizations, and I'm hoping it's inspired me and motivated me to create some more of my own. Not that I didn't even submit mine for review, so.
No, so I was going to bring yours up, but I didn't, just because I didn't want to put you on the spot.
Feel free.
But I really enjoyed your bit. So it was on, I could bring it up since I've shared my screen. So let's get your page. So it's, you can, while I'm trying to find you, are you Lorna Brown now?
My URL's Eden, but my name's Brown.
Okay. So while I'm bringing this up, do you want to just give us a little bit of background into why you visit this?
Yeah, sure. So the Maldives is a dear place to my heart. My mum and I travelled there quite a bit when I was younger, so that it was our like place to go as just my mum and I, and it was just really nice to go back. And then last year, I got married, and our honeymoon was penciled in for November. Obviously coronavirus happened, but luckily we were still able to go. But I definitely saw a decline in the number of people there during the time. So I just wanted to look at how the coronavirus has affected the Maldives tourism, and funnily enough there was a ton of data around it. So I was really happy to find all of this data, and it really shocked me, like the spikes and the troughs inside this data. I know it's a little bit text heavy, but I think being able to understand why is important.
Yeah, it's quite staggering, isn't it? Like looking at the drop off and the number of arrival flights, and then this stat here made me laugh that people actually got stuck for the average length of stay increased by 81 days. Now, yeah, I mean, I guess there may have been people going out there. I think I heard stories in the news about people when the first kind of like wave happened, that people they just packed up their things and went to like an exotic place to stay for a conference, like ride it out, and that may have been part of that stat. But it's just quite staggering, and it's really sad to see how they've been impacted so badly with everything that's been going on.
Even the thing of the finance, though, right? Like how it's gone down from 370 odd million to 81 million. It's crazy amount of money that they've lost.
Yeah.
And how are they going to regain that because they survive via the tourism.
Yeah, there's going to be so many places like that around the world as well, which like 99% of everything they do is tourism related, and everyone works in that industry, and whether it be in hotels or doing like tourist activities or, you know, running things, attractions, that kind of thing, will all have been impacted. But yeah, no, I really enjoyed your biz. Thank you for entering it.
You're welcome.
And well done. I'm still amazed that you managed to actually both get married and go on honeymoon in 2020.
So am I.
Your timing was like spot on. Like, it could have been any better.
I know.
So yeah, I think if you'd had your wedding like even just 2 weeks later, it wouldn't have happened. Yeah.
Crazy.
Anyway, but yeah, I really appreciate you coming on today. It's been lovely talking to you as always. Okay, so I'm excited to announce that the next round of Iron Quest is now live. This month, for the month of February, we're going to be visualizing history. So that means you can visualize any topic related to history. The great thing about this project is it coincides with Black History Month in the US and Canada, and also LGBT plus History Month in the United Kingdom. So there's, you know, if you can't think of anything to visualize, there's going to be plenty of topics you can visualize around those topics. The deadline for this round is the 28th of February, so the last day of the month. And I'm really excited to announce that this round is also a collaboration. So we're going to be collaborating with the Viz to Educate team. So that's Eve Thomas and Vinod Kumar. So Viz to Educate is another community project. And the aim of Viz to Educate is to focus on creating a high quality bank of educational resources for teachers worldwide. So the idea is that every month they pick a different topic that forms part of the school curriculum, and people visualize that topic to help build out a library of resources that teachers around the world can use in their classrooms. So naturally, history is a core part of the curriculum, and so we're hoping that these vizzes will form nicely and really help students around the world to actually learn about different topics in history. So as always, thank you for watching. I hope you found the feedback useful. If you want to find out more about Iron Quest or learn how to get involved, you can check out my website, sarahlovesdata.co.uk. And you can find us on Twitter. So myself, Sarah Loves Data, or Lorna Brown, who joined us today. So that's _Lorna_Brown. And we look forward to seeing you with us soon. Thanks for tuning in. Goodbye.